guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. I have another video to go along with my mini series for makeup for beginners, and today we're going to be talking about eyebrows. Now I know eyebrows are very personal to everyone. Some people fill them in, some people don't. Whatever you do, it's okay. I am just here to share with you guys my way of filling and grooming my brows. I am not a brow expert, so you definitely, have to kind of learn these things on your own, and just slowly but surely you will kind of create a routine for your brows that you like. So my videos have been a little bit longer than normal here lately, and I'm not sure if you guys like that or not. I just didn't want to make this video super long. So there's going to be a lot of information, tips and tricks on more products that you can use to fill in your brows down in the description bar. So make sure you check that out. I always link so many other things in there, coupon codes. I link the products that I use all the time down below. If you like the color of lipstick I'm wearing, it's usually down there as well. So yeah, there's a lot of information down there, so don't forget to check it out. Yeah, so I hope you enjoy this video and find it helpful. So the things that you will obviously need are a spoolie, a pair of little grooming scissors, some tweezers. Where are you? There you are. A pair of tweezers. And I like to have these little, and I didn't bring a new one in, but these little brow shapers from the brand Tinkle, I believe. Yeah, Tinkle. This one already rubbed off because I've used it for a while now. You can get these through Amazon. I will link them down below. I like to use these in between brow grooming days. I usually groom my brows on Sundays. That's when I, take the time to really sit there and kind of trim them and really, pluck extra hairs that I need to. But like if I'm starting to get a little extra hair somewhere that I just cannot fill my brow in without needing to get rid of it, and then I will go in and use this. I'll use it over at the top of my brows a little bit underneath, and even in between, like if got a unibrow going on. But those are the essentials for kind of getting into the groove of grooming your brows. Now my brows have already been groomed, so I can't really show you exactly how I do it, but I can explain to you how I do it. And now to fill in your brows, you are going to need a brow pencil, a brow gel, a brow powder, whichever. I didn't bring any of my other extras in just because I didn't want to have to sit here and explain every single product to you. But I will leave tips and tricks down below in the description bar. So if you want something a little bit more natural, you can use something different. So everything will be down below, so you guys check that out and see what will work best for you. So a brow pencil or brow product fill-in. You will need a gel, so you can do clear or you can do a colored gel. And if you want to, you can also have a concealer on hand in case you mess up, so you can kind of clean up your mistakes. So, okay, I zoomed you guys in just a little bit more, but as you can see, I do not have any product on my brows right now. This is what my brows look like without any product on them. So before I fill them in, or groom them, I guess I should say, I like to brush through them really well with a spoolie, and I like to go up first. So I get all of my brow hair up. And you can probably work one brow at a time. I just like to get the hairs up. So at this point, I go ahead and pluck any extra hair that I see that I don't want within the shape of my brow. I have two very different brows. This brow, and they are never sometimes one brow will be really good for a month or two, and then the other brow will just will be so evil to me, so evil. And then somehow I'll wake up the next day and they've switched. They've literally switched, and the other one will be evil and the other one will be good. It's so weird. They're never going to be the same. Trust me. I've tried to get them to be exactly the same. It's not going to happen. So I hate to break it to you, sister. But yeah, go ahead and do that. And then I go ahead and pluck any extra little hairs that I don't want in the area. And then just a kind of a general shape that most people follow. So if you were to go to like a Benefit Brow Bar or somewhere to get your brows waxed or something, most places follow this rule where your brow begins right there where like the natural kind of contour of your nose is. So it begins right there, and as you can see, both of them do. And then the arch of your brow is going to be like right across from your pupil. So just kind of use like a, you know, your spoolie or something to kind of guide you. As you can see, right in this area, I don't have any hair growth at all. Like it just doesn't grow for some reason. So I have to, you know, work a little extra to fill it in. That's why I like to kind of brush my hair upwards so I can see where I'm going to need a little bit extra, you know, product. So then there you go, right in there. And then where you want your brow to end is right at the end of your lash line. So you kind of go straight like that, and that's where you want your brow to end. So that's typically what a shape of a brow is, you know, like that's typically, if we were to go anywhere, that's typically how they're going to shape your brow. Obviously everybody's brows are different, so just kind of do whatever works best for you. Both of my brows are very different. Like the arch of this brow is a little, it's slightly more to this side than it is this way, so I have to work extra to kind of even them out just a little bit so that they don't look completely like off. So okay, now after you've done the plucking, then you can go ahead and start trimming. A lot of people are super scared of trimming their brows. I was one of those people, but once I started, I just have not gone back. So now that you have all of your brush hair, now that you have all of your brow hair up, what I like to do is take any of the super long brow hairs and just kind of go in there and trim them. You want to be careful, and you don't want to trim too much because then it's just going to completely, you know, change the shape and look of your brow. So you want to be careful and work little, you know, trims by little. You don't want to go in there and, you know, kind of brush it up and then maybe brush it up a little too much and then go in there, trim, and it'd be just a complete mess. So be very careful. You don't want to brush too much. I suggest brushing, you don't want to trim too much, so I suggest you trim a little at a time, brush them back in place, check, and then do it again. Or just start a little bit and then that's it. You just don't want them to be super, super long. Now, a lot of people will do this and they'll brush their hair downward. As you can see, very different brow shapes. You can see the arch right in there, and the arch is right over here, Very different brow shapes. What they'll do is they'll trim any excess hair that's a little bit too long this way. I do it every now and then. It's not something that I make part of my routine. So if I'll check them, and if I see that something's just a little too long, I'll trim it. But most of the time, you'll catch it whenever you brush your hair upward. So that's basically the gist of grooming my brows. That's exactly how I groom them, and that's really all it takes to groom your brows. I hope I kind of, let me see, explain that the best way that I could without taking too much of your time. And if you guys want like a full tutorial, I guess, on how I groom my brows, I can do it. Like I said, it's just everybody does it so differently, and my brows are never the same, ever. So one week I will have brows like on fleek. They will be on point, and then the next week they're not. They just play me like that. They just don't want to be my friend sometimes. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started on how I fill in my brows. So I go ahead and brush my brow hair upward again, because I like to start at the base of my brow. To give my brow some definition, I am going to be using the ColourPop brow pencil in Bangin Brunette. I really like this. It's only like $6 or so. I love it. So go ahead and see if I can do this for you without, you know, see if I can do this while staying in focus. So I like to start at the beginning of my brow, and I do light strokes just so that I don't go in like with full pigment and then it'll be kind of hard, but you can do full pigment and then blend it out, whichever. Just following the shape of my brow. Just like that, and as you can see, there's already like a big difference between this brow and that brow just by doing that. So I'm gonna do this brow first, and then I'll go and do this brow off camera just so you can see the difference. Now that I've done that, what I will do is use a spoolie on the other side of the pencil, comb my brows down. So you can see I don't have very much brow right in here, so I'm gonna have to work more products into that area. Now I'm going to define the top part of my brow, and with this I like to go in a little bit softer with the color just because I don't want too much darkness up there. I prefer the depth on the bottom, but like I said, you do whatever you want. So I typically start at the very end of the brow. So at the end of the brow is where I give it a little bit more color, a little bit more, I press in a little bit more and give it more pigmentation because I want more depth and more pigment at the tail end of the brow than I do at the very beginning of the brow. So over here I just kind of very like hair light strokes, very tiny bit. As you can see, big difference already from this brow and this brow. This is already like, you know, coming to life. So now that I've done that, I kind of brush my hairs in place as far as to where I'm going to want them. And then I go ahead and start filling in where I have a lot of sparse areas, which is right in here is where I have a lot of sparseness. I don't have a ton of sparseness right in this area. As you can see, it's very full. So I usually kind of fill it in a little bit darker at the end of the brow. And just like this, almost like you barely touch your skin, but you're still giving it product. And I like to kind of like pull my, you see how I'm pulling the I can't talk today. You see how I'm pulling the pencil kind of out? I go in and out, in and out, in and out, just to kind of not be too heavy. And I like to go in between filling, and I like to blend in the product just to see how it's looking. And sometimes when you blend in the product, you will lose a little bit of pigmentation. Like I've lost a little bit of it right in the area where I don't have much brow. So you'll have to go in and, you know, fill in areas as you go. But it takes time. It takes time to fill in your brows, especially if you're just getting started. Okay, I am pretty happy with how the end of my brow is looking, so now we're going to start working at the very beginning of it. I don't really ever put any product right in here where I have a lot of fullness because I don't need it. So whatever product is right here where I defined, that's where I'll just blend that product up so that I don't have too much of a stark line, and that pretty much helps with that area right in there. And I will do the same at the beginning of my brow, blend the product up, and if I need a little bit more, then I will go ahead and apply some more, but I like to blend the product in first before going in. So as you can see, I could probably use just a little bit more product in here. So what I do is I go back in, define it, and blend it upward. Okay, so that pretty much that's pretty much how I feel in my brow. You know, it looks a little too, like, there's some areas that look still a little too sparse, but I go in with the Tinted Brow Gel and that'll help those areas. I just don't like my brows to look too filled in. I've gone through so many phases of my brows where they're just too filled in and sometimes they're even too thin. I am to the point where I have grown them out to where I like where they're at now. My brows are pretty thick to begin with. For some reason have really thick brows, but they're still very sparse, which is very weird. So I've grown them into where I like them and where I'm comfortable with them now. So if you look back like a year ago, they were super, super thin. I don't know what in the world I was thinking. I'm even embarrassed how thin they were, but I'm so happy with how they are now. So yeah, that's basically what it looks like. So I'm gonna get off camera and fill in this one, but you can see there's a big difference in, you know, the look of both brows. So I will be right back. So I am back with both brows filled in now, and I didn't touch or do anything with my right brow. I have finished filling this brow in, and I went ahead and already set it with my Essence Make Me Brow. This is such a good dupe for the Benefit Give Me Brow, which I have a little sample of, and I actually prefer using this one. And now we're going to go ahead and set this brow, and as you can see, I mean, they're not like super identical, like they look like twins. They definitely look like sisters, but not twins, and I'm okay with that. I mean, they don't have to look completely perfect. Just as long as they have the same shape and the same thing going on, I'm okay. So let's go ahead and set these. I like to start working at the end of the brow. Once you take this little spoolie out, it's so little bitty and tiny. It has a lot of product on it and a lot of fibers. So you want to kind of work wherever you want the most product. So for me, it's the tail end of the brow. Even if you need a little bit more product at the beginning of the brow though, I would start maybe just a little bit on the end and then work your way a little bit towards the beginning of it, just because you don't want to have like bam, a lot of darkness in there, because once you put this on, it's going to be very hard to blend it out. So I just work this onto my brows. So you can see they're already filled in the sparseness. And this little brow gel is good at holding them in place, at least for my brows. But if you have really wild, unruly brows, then I would go ahead and set them in with another clear gel. Okay, so now that you have them all set, if you feel like you need to go in and fill in a little bit more areas or kind of blend a little bit more, then feel free to do so. I normally wait until after I finish doing my makeup, like my full face eyeshadow and everything, just because that's when I get a clear look of what everything looks like once it's finished. So that's pretty much how I fill and groom my brows. I hope I did a good job at explaining everything. Like I said, I am not a brow expert. This is just how I have grown to do my brows and how I prefer to do them. You obviously can do your brows however you feel comfortable doing them. So yes, that's about it. If I have anything else to add, I will pop in at the end before the during the outro, and I will add it in. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to watch my eyebrow video. I hope you found it helpful, and I hope you learned a few tips and tricks, or perhaps maybe you just learned how to groom your brows entirely. I really hope you enjoyed this, and I really hope you learned something from it. I am really having fun filming these videos for this series. And also let me know where your go-to brow product is. Like, what is one brow product that you cannot live without? So definitely let me know down below. Let's chat down there. Follow me on social media. I am Beauty with Lily on Instagram, and underscore Beauty with Lily on Twitter, and I'll leave my Snapchat and everything else down below. And if you want to check out my blog, it's beautywithlily.com. I have so many other things over there, so definitely check me out. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. Bye!